This is Faith Bernard, the holistic entrepreneur, and today I am so honored to be interviewing a friend and a business colleague, Linda Fels. And Linda, you are a nutritional therapist, is that the correct term?
Yeah, the actual term is Nutritional Therapy Practitioner, but we're also called Nutritional Therapists too.
Okay, so practitioner or therapist, both, which covers a lot of ground. Linda, we met not that long ago through mutual friends, our Cheryl Allen and others, and Bridget McMillan, and I just fell in love with your very grounded, you have a very heartfelt approach to health and wellness. I sense from you that you're very intuitive and holistic in your approach, and that was very attractive. And of course, we met at an event with our company, a celebration that was happening in San Diego, so that was even a greater treat to see each other in person. I'm so grateful to be doing this interview with you today. The purpose of this interview, for all of you that may be watching this video out there, is to, Linda, I wanted you to share a little bit about yourself, and also what attracted you to Isagenix, the company that we have in common and work together with, and then how you're working with the professional program with Isagenix in your practice, and just your overall philosophy too. I think people love to hear a little bit of a backstory, a little bit more of the personal side, and then the business side, and it just sort of makes it all come to life. So share with us, first of all, a little bit about yourself, how you heard about Isagenix, and what attracted you to incorporate Isagenix into your practice.
Okay, well, a couple of years ago, I went back to school after thinking I was going to be retired. I spent 22 years designing software for Indian hospitals and clinics around the country, and then got sick. And started learning more and more about nutrition, and got so interested in it, decided to go back to school and actually get certified and start up a practice. And last year, I started really looking at the fact that besides diet and digestive issues, I really started needing to look at all the toxins in our body. And so I went and I was trying every detox cleansing product out there, pretty much, trying to find one that I felt good about and that I thought would work. And I was going through and tasting some really awful stuff and finding others that tasted great but had really scary ingredients. Our friend Cheryl Allen kind of reluctantly mentioned to me that she'd been using a product for 10 years and that maybe I might want to look at it, and gave me a couple samples. So, and so I tried them, and I thought, oh my God, these are delicious. I mean, people could actually use them more than a couple of days. And I looked into the ingredients. I couldn't find anything wrong with any of the ingredients, and I'm pretty fussy about that. And I liked the fact that it was flexible, because you can do an intense cleanse, you can do kind of a moderate, and you can do really slow cleanse, which is really important for my clients, because in my practice, I'm always doing everything based on the individual, and everything's customized, and I wanted to be able to customize the products. So that's kind of how I got into the Isagenix.
And I like to use the word deep cleanse. Intense sounds pretty intense, doesn't it? You know, the cool thing is that even if someone has a little detox, like a headache or feels fluish, if someone's uncomfortable and they're working that day and they need to be on their game, I just have them do an extra shake, you know, to help mitigate those cleansing symptoms. But yes, you're right. You can do it all different kinds of ways, and there's a lot of flexibility, which, you know, I always say it doesn't matter how great the program is. If people won't use it, it won't help anyone. And so it has to be something we can adapt to our busy lifestyles and move our lives forward and really be the best we can be. I'd love to know a little bit more about your practice, and then how you came to sort of start incorporating Isagenix into your practice.
Okay, well, a nutritional therapy practitioner, our schooling is based on the teachings of Dr. Weston Price, a dentist from the early 1900s who really went around the world looking for those isolated populations that were eating well and were healthy, and came up with some dietary guidelines. And basically, it's going back to real food. I mean, none of the junk food, that type of thing. But he found that people all over the world had different diets, so there's no one diet for everybody. So that's another part of our training, is looking at everyone's different, what works for them. So a lot of it is more holistic. It's more, no one diet for everybody, going back to real foods, and really looking at nutrients, really looking at making sure you're getting a lot of nutrients into your diet. So that's what I do. I also use muscle testing in my practice, so it's more of an energetic kind of looking at, asking basically your subconscious and your, what's right for your body kind of thing. So I'll have a lot of different tools, and just kind of figure out what's right for each person, and that's kind of how I work.
I so love that you customize it, because there is no, we're all similar, but we're all different. I always think of us as snowflakes. We're similar, yet we're universal, but yet we're unique, each one of us. And it's very important that we don't try to fit, a square peg into a round hole, isn't it, in life in general, and including when it comes to, coaching people on their nutrition and their food and their eating habits. Depending on your genetics, depending on what part of the world you live in, that can all have, different impacts. Like, I've really wanted, for spiritual reasons, to be vegetarian for years. I was a vegetarian for, I think, 10 years, and my health went downhill dramatically until I incorporated at least some organic meats back into my diet again, and then I just lit up like a, I just hate the thought of, animals being harmed, and so it's still something I grapple with, but at least now I think I've got a much more balanced approach with it, and I'm more at peace with myself. And so Isagenix, as you know, and for those of you that are watching this and are not familiar with Isagenix, the name stands for Balanced Life. It was developed by John Anderson, our formulator. He's become a dear friend of mine, and this is a brilliant, brilliant formulator, an expert in mineral delivery systems and Ayurvedic medicine, actually. And he had his own health challenges, which is another interesting story, how that all came together. But I love the name Isagenix, Balanced Life. So what, obviously this was an evolution for you. You had to try the products yourself first, get your own results. You probably just were a little conservative in the beginning, I would imagine. You can share more about that. But little by little, you started adapting and bringing things in. So we have this professional program for other practitioners that may be watching this video. Maybe you could share, first of all, how you started, when you made that decision, I'm going to incorporate this into my practice, even though I very much tailor it to each individual. And tell us a little bit more about this Isagenix professional program.
Okay, well, when I first found the products, I tried them on myself first for about a month before I even mentioned it to any of my clients or almost any of my friends. And the fact that it's a network marketing company actually almost made me not go for it. But the products were so good that I decided, okay, I'll jump in and do this. And pretty early on learned about the Professionals program, which allows you to sell at the retail level in your practice, but only to your clients, the ones you're seeing one-on-one in your practice. But it gives you a little bit more flexibility. The wholesale price is a little bit better than what you get on the network marketing side, so you make a little bit more. You're also able to sell some products individually instead of buying a whole box of a packet of some, like the shakes. You can sell them individually. It's really great to help people decide that they want to use it, or if they want to try a new flavor, that type of thing. So I keep a small inventory. I don't keep a large inventory, but I do keep some for that kind of reason. And there are some clients who don't want to see me for the full 6 or 12 appointments, which is what I use in my packages. And so if I sell them a whole, say, 30-day program, I'll throw in a consultation or two with me as part of the price of the package, and I can afford that because I'm making enough money on that on the retail basis that I can kind of pull them in and have them try it out, work with them one-on-one, and those people who have done that have ended up being some of my best clients. Some of them don't see me much anymore, but they continue to buy the Isagenix, love it, are actually doing amazing results. So it's just another way of pulling people in instead of letting them kind of dip their toe into it. So I'm using all the pieces. I have some people sign up as wholesale clients and others who do it through retail, but it gives me more flexibility. That's what I loved about the professional program, is it gave me a lot more flexibility.
If I understand correctly, isn't the professional program, isn't that like 25% below wholesale for the normal?
Yeah, it's I can't remember the percentage, but it's a pretty good wholesale price. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's somewhat comparable to like standard process, in the ballpark percentage-wise. So it's something that practitioners are used to. They know they're going to make so much.
Yeah, it's similar to the other lines I carry, some of the professional supplement lines. It's comparable to that. So
I think that's really important for practitioners to hear, because they're probably thinking, okay, I take on this line, is it going to be worth my time? Of course, we know the results will be worth their time. I think you said a couple things that really caught my attention, is that this is a way, because you usually sign people up for how many sessions with you again is typical?
Either 6 or 12.
Okay, so 6 or 12. That's a big commitment, I'm sure, time-wise and financially. Though worthy, I mean, certainly worth it, we know, for the quality of life. However, I'm sure a brand new person sometimes goes, well, I'm not quite sure. But this way, now they've sort of had this cool option that, well, they can check out this, maybe they've tried some samples through you in your office of the different products, and they're going, wow, I like this. This is something I could see myself doing. And now you have the potential of a new client and even an ongoing client, even if they're not continuously seeing you in sessions, you're still benefiting from their use of the products in addition to them benefiting. So it feels like a win-win-win. How's it feel to you?
It is. It's really a great way to make sure I can cover all bases and pull people in depending on where they are. Another thing I wanted to mention about the Isagenix is that because the main programs, especially the weight loss program, includes 2 shakes a day and you eat 1 regular meal. For people who are really starting out, maybe eating not well to begin with, it's really nice because 2 meals are taken care of by the Isagenix shakes, and I know they're getting the nutrition. I only have to concentrate on teaching them how to create a really good dinner, say, or lunch, 1 meal. And then as they move on, they reach their goals, and they maybe go down to only 1 shake a day. I can then work on just the lunch. So slowly change their diet instead of having them look at their food journal and say, wow, I'm going to have to change everything you do all at once. That's just too much. So it's really nice that way to be able to just give a person something that I know it will be healthy for them for breakfast and lunch, and then now we'll just work on dinner as we're working together as a client, with the client.
Oh, what a great point you make. I take that for granted as far as healthy diet, because we've been eating healthy definitely since my early 30s, and I'm 60 now, and my husband's a great cook. We eat organic, we eat whole foods, very little in the way of what would be considered junk food, and if it's like chips, it's healthy chips.
Right.
So it's a pretty different lifestyle than I guess a lot of people out there. So I take that for granted. So your point is so well, because a lot of people will stop because they just don't know what to make, or they don't know how to make it, or how to source where they get the ingredients. I'm sure there's a lot of different things that come. So you're really helping them sort of step into a whole new life, really, in a big, big way that will not only impact them, but I'm sure it will impact their families and their children. And one of the things I saw with Isagenix early on that we got super excited about was what was happening for kids. We had a number of kids as young as 6. Now we even had a few babies on the shake, a little bit of the shake, but that's pretty unusual. But from 6 upwards to say like 12 and 13, we had some experience in working with these children and seeing their grade point averages go up. The ones that we saw, some of the children, not all, were more of a D.C. student, and some of them actually within 3 to 4 months moved into an A student. So it goes to show you that depending on what's going on in the home in terms of understanding nutrition, getting the foods they need, and unfortunately the school systems, depending on the school, I know it varies, the foods that they supply for the hot meals are oftentimes really somewhat horrendous. In terms of food value, I mean, it's sort of scary that we're not taking care of these precious children that are the future of our world, really. And, I think sometimes road rage and all these things that people experience is because they don't feel good. And so they overreact and I used to have blood sugar issues when I was dealing with my mercury and aluminum poisoning many years ago with heavy metal poisoning. I had, candida and all these interesting complications, and that caused my blood sugar to be off. And so I'm just so grateful that people like yourself, Linda, are out there helping people transition from this fast food world. And the irony is that it doesn't take that much longer to cook something from scratch. It's just knowing how, right? So how do you coach people? I'm just curious when it comes to, do you get them recipes? Do you have some things that they can get access to easily? I know Isagenix does supply some of that as well. What do you do as far as resources and things like that?
I do. It depends on the person. I look at their food journal. I have them fill out a 5-day food journal, so I really can see what they're doing. And usually try and pick either a type of ingredient or a meal and really just focus on a couple of changes at a time, which is why I see people for at least 6 appointments. And could be, if it looks like they're having a really sugary breakfast, and so they're having problems with energy during the day, I'll ask them, are you willing to cook, a breakfast with, eggs and maybe some spinach and some onions and that type of thing. Some of them don't have time to, and so that's where the Isagenix shake is just perfect, because if people don't have time in the morning, they can do that. So if they're doing that, then I'll just concentrate on lunch or dinner and say, okay, so what are you eating for dinner? I start with what they're doing and then make small changes from what they're doing instead of giving them whole new things that are really outside of their realm. Some people love to cook, and so I give them recipes. Some people hate to cook, so I work on how do you order at a restaurant, how do you do takeout. Wherever they are, I work small steps from there. It's always small steps from wherever they are.
So they don't feel overwhelmed, because isn't that one of the biggest things even about exercise, is that people get a New Year's resolution, I'm going to work out 4 times a week, and then they overwork out and either get an injury or hurt themselves, and then they don't want to work out anymore. I'm sure the same thing happens with diet. It's just like, hey, I would love for you, I know that you did some traveling a few months ago. You traveled across the United States, and I saw some of your pictures on Facebook, and oh my word, your transformation, also utilizing these Isagenix superfoods, incorporating into healthy meals, with what you're doing personally. Can you share a little bit about your own personal experience, like, weight, inch loss, vitality?
Sure. For one thing, even though I've been eating well for a lot of years, I could not lose weight, period. I gained a lot of weight over the years eating what I thought was healthy but wasn't really. So at least when I started really eating really good nutrient-dense foods, I stopped gaining, which was perfect, but I could not for the life of me lose any. So the first thing that happened when I started on Isagenix was actually losing weight. So I've lost over 20 pounds on Isagenix. And then, but what amazed me was the energy level, because I always considered myself a fairly high energy person, but boy, on Isagenix, I'm really up. It's just amazing, the energy levels that I have now. So I'm hooked. I mean, I just love the stuff. And so now I'm trying to lose a little bit more. I want what I call the Isagenix arms. You know, when you go to Celebration, when the events, those women up there on stage have these gorgeous arms, and so that's what I'm working on. So I'm actually in the Isabody Challenge, the little competition. I did that earlier, didn't do so well. Now I'm really focused on really getting, you know, really toned. So that's kind of how I'm using Isagenix. And it was great during our 5-week trip across country because, you know, driving all day long, you don't want to have to spend time looking for a restaurant. So for both breakfast and lunch, both my husband and I both used the Isagenix shakes or the bars. If we couldn't find any water anywhere, we'd use the bars. And then we just have to find a restaurant at night, which worked out really, really well. So my husband doesn't normally use Isagenix shakes at home, but he used them on the trip. We do use the vitamins, though. We love the vitamins. We love the Isagenix, the anti-aging supplements. So we do use, both of us use that at home. But otherwise,
sure. Isagenix is really powerful, and for those that don't know anything about it, it's our telomere support product, which is basically helping you slow down the aging process, or what we like to say, age in a healthy way or age gracefully.
Right,
and maybe someday reverse the aging process. That's always a potential. You know, when you mentioned traveling across the country, which was, I just loved your trip. I really enjoyed being able to enjoy it vicariously through Facebook. One of the things is I bet you save some money on food because it can be expensive eating out for all 3 meals.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, most motels we'd stay at now have what they call complimentary breakfast, but we looked at them, and unless we could find a piece of fruit, most of them we didn't want to have anything to do with what they served. So it was nice having the shakes. And then for lunch, yes, I mean, lunches can be so expensive going out to eat, and for the $3 or whatever it is for a shake, it is just, yes, so much.
You don't have the tip. You don't have, you have all these different things that you don't think about because you're doing them. It's sort of like eating a latte a day, right? You know, people spend $5 on a latte, and then if someone says to me Isagenix is too expensive, I just laugh because I said I know what you're spending your money on, and a lot of it's because people don't feel good, so they do these things to make themselves feel better. Here's Isagenix at a fraction of the cost. I think someone said even if you're not building Isagenix business, that average savings, if you average it out between eating out and purchasing groceries, is $2,400 a year for a family. That's a lot of savings.
Yeah.
You know, you could put that towards a child's college education. There's a lot of different things. And if you are actually building a business with Isagenix, you've got the tax write-off, so we won't even go there on this conversation, but that's just another side of it. So you had this great trip, you had energy, you had less expenses, convenience, the bars when there was no water. You really just doesn't get better than that. And one of the things I noticed was a picture of you on Facebook. You guys were hiking, and you were doing your arms, and you look darn good.
They're getting better. They're definitely getting better. They're just not quite where I want them to be. But yes. And it's not just the products, but Isagenix has exercise videos online, and I use those. And so that's how I've been, working out with my weights and stuff. It's just using those. I don't have time or the inclination to go to a gym, so I use those, and they're great during hiking. We use the bars for snacks while we hike too, so that's really great. So we know we're getting not only some good carbs for energy, but you're getting the proteins, you're getting all the vitamins and minerals. I mean everything. So it was very convenient while we were out there wandering around the country.
I love it. I just got a friend of mine on the 30-day program, and he's out there. He does insurance sales, and he's go, go, go. And he said, oh, God, you know, you didn't have time to do the shake, so you did a bar. And he was like, oh my God, this is not just any bar.
Yeah.
This is like a whole meal.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really a wonderful thing. For other practitioners that may watch this video, or if you share it with practitioners that you might be speaking with that are looking at Isagenix as a potential to add into their practice, do you have any tips or insights that you'd want to share with them?
I feel I'm fairly new, and I really am trying. The problem is I'm just learning to build my own business as it is, and now I'm trying to learn the network marketing side too. So I feel almost kind of overwhelmed trying to learn both of them. I think if someone already has a established practice, adding on Isagenix and learning how to use both the professional program piece and the network marketing shouldn't be that hard at all. For me, it's hard learning both, how to have a practice and learn network marketing, and I'm so grateful for you to constantly mentor me, even though I'm a slow learner. But I thank you so much, Faith, for just keeping up with me. I'm getting better and better, and I'm practicing. But so for me, relying on the professional piece to at least have some additional income while I'm and I have some people, but they're all product users. I don't have anyone who's actually building a business who's under me, so I really haven't gotten into the network marketing piece, but I'm learning, and it gives me some extra income while I'm building a practice and learning this stuff. I mean, so that's what's really been nice this past year. I've only been in it since last April, so it hasn't even been a year yet, and but I'm feeling that my business is getting pretty established now. I'm having a really good month, and so I'm now looking at really moving beyond that, and I save all of your information, your videos, so I'm constantly learning from them. So I feel this year it's really gonna I'm gonna do really well, both in my professional practice and really sharing Isagenix, because there are people who don't really need to see me, who just need to lose a little weight, or they're athletes and they need just that little extra edge of energy, or they're a busy mom and they need that extra energy, or the kids need something better in the morning and it's a crazy morning and they know they're never going to cook anything. So just sharing it with people who don't actually need to see me as a client, learning how to share it with more people. So I'm hoping that's kind of my goal this year, is to really be able to share it more with more people. So thanks so much for putting up with someone who's a slow learner.
Oh, well, first of all, I don't consider you a slow learner. I mean, everything's timing, isn't it? And your first focus obviously needs to be your practice and yourself and your life. But I think a lot of times the business side of it, with the residual income, network marketing side, grows on people. Mm-hmm. It's like little by little. Even Chris Harder and his wife Lori Harder, she runs a health club, mm-hmm. and she's a model for Oxygen magazine. And the last thing she was thinking is she could be involved with a network marketing business. She had no interest in that, but she was interested in how good the products made her feel. Took her a year to tell one of her best friends about it, who then, reprimanded her for taking so long. But the neat thing was that little by little, they became more open to the residual part. So they went to an Isagenix university. They worked with the upline team. As they became less resistant and more trusting, if you will, then mm-hmm. little by little they started plugging into the systems, because the network marketing side, actually, once you're willing to do it, it's really not all that hard. It's just sort of saying, I'm ready for this,
Right.
I'm ready for this step. And that's going to be different for different people. Mm-hmm. Well, at this point, I want to keep this towards the shorter side. Are there any final thoughts that you have that you'd like to share?
No, just that I am so glad that I found these products, because it's been great for me. It's great for my practice and for my clients, and I don't want anyone to feel hesitant about going with them just because they have odd ideas about network marketing, because I know a lot of people do. I did. But the products are just amazing, and every day I'm reading new articles and studies about the science behind them, and I trust them. They really are great products.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of been using them for 12 plus years, so my trust is pretty rock solid at this point, I would say. I would say that for anyone that is reticent about network marketing, just focus initially on the products, focus on your own experience, and if you're a practitioner, focus on the professional program, and then if you decide you like the idea of earning residual income, I know I get paid on sales I made back 12 years ago, which is really fun. And I think we all deserve to have that opportunity for residual income if that's something that someone's open to. Linda, you've been absolutely fabulous. I so appreciate you. I know that stepping out here on a Google Hangout was a big step, so thank you for being willing to do that. I think once people find this is a great tool, you know, we can have a mastermind group or just a chance to get together with distributors and professionals, and I think Google has provided us a lot of free tools, so why not use them? Right. Everyone out there, thank you for watching this interview with Linda Fels. Linda, I want you to share your website, information with people, and also how they can find you on Facebook.
Right. Well, my website is called enjoyeatingagain.com, which is my motto, and I have a blog, which is also enjoyeatingagain.blogspot.com, but you can also find it through my website. You can access me on Facebook through my website, or just look for Linda J. Fels NTP on Facebook, and you'll find me that way too.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you. As always, I always like to say I'll catch you on the next video. Everyone have an outstanding day, and great job, Linda.
Thank you so much, Faith.